Meet Person A and Person B. They're both in their 20s, living parallel lives, but their morning and night routines couldn't be more different. On paper, they both hit the widely accepted gold standard for rest, exactly 7 hours of sleep every single night. But their timing is entirely different. Person A sleeps from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., without fail. Person B bounces around, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. during the work week, and 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. on weekends. Despite banking the exact same volume of sleep, that weekend schedule shift is quietly building severe, long-term cardiovascular risk in Person B that Person A simply isn't experiencing. Treating total sleep duration as the ultimate metric for recovery masks a much deeper biological mechanism. To see how this plays out over decades, researchers running the multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis tracked the sleep habits and heart health of over 2,000 participants. This line graph compares two groups with identical sleep durations. Look at the risk trajectory for the irregular sleepers. It trends sharply upward, revealing a substantially higher rate of cardiovascular events than the regular sleepers, completely independent of how many hours they actually spent in bed. The study defined a regular sleeper using a very strict metric, keeping your bedtime and wake time variation to under 1 hour night to night. Staying within that narrow window is what flattens the risk curve. Strict timing regularity, rather than total hours logged in bed, is the strongest predictor of long-term cardiovascular and metabolic health. To understand why timing matters more than duration, we have to look past these external routines and step inside the biological environment. It's common to think the body operates on a single master clock located in the brain, dictating when we feel tired or alert. This diagram shows the central clock connected to peripheral clocks. Your liver, pancreas, and cardiovascular system possess independent timekeepers. They regulate critical chemistry, like glucose and blood pressure, relying on perfectly timed signals from the brain to start and stop work. A healthy metabolism relies on the brain and organs taking in perfect unison throughout the night. When Person A sticks to that rigid 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. schedule, their central and peripheral clocks stay securely locked in harmony. Now look at Person B. Friday night hits, their social schedule takes over, and they suddenly force their sleep cycle back to 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. This creates circadian misalignment. The brain's clock adjusts to new light, but slower organ clocks fall out of phase. Missing these cues, the system misfires. Glucose and blood pressure regulation fail as organs struggle processing nutrients at the wrong time. The irony here is that this internal metabolic chaos is happening while Person B is fast asleep, supposedly getting a full, healthy 7 hours of rest. That irregular timing takes a biological process meant to be restorative and actively turns it into a state of significant metabolic strain. If we fast forward the timeline and watch our subjects age out of their 20s and into their late 30s and 40s, the consequences of that strain become visible. Your 20s act as a critical window. Irregular work hours, shifting social schedules, and late-night habits are completely normalized during this decade, and they feel harmless. This 20-year chart tracks metabolic strain. Damage accumulates invisibly through the 20s, locking in dysregulation before doctors monitor cardiovascular markers. By the late 30s, it sharply crosses into clinical danger. At 40, Person B presents elevated blood pressure and glucose, unexplained by diet or exercise. Those unexplained metabolic issues in midlife are frequently the direct result of treating sleep timing as a flexible weekend luxury decades earlier. Maintaining a perfectly rigid sleep-wake schedule assumes you have a highly predictable, stable external life. That is not reality for shift workers, caregivers, or new parents who face demanding external schedules that they cannot control. For these specific groups, trying to force artificial regularity against those chaotic demands usually backfires. It just increases anxiety and builds up severe sleep debt. If you are in one of these chaotic life phases, prioritizing opportunistic sleep, getting hours whenever and wherever you can, remains the most protective strategy available. This diagram illustrates how the rest of us approach it. The 30-minute test. You fix a wake time within a strict 30-minute window every single day, including weekends. Then you calculate backward to establish your target bedtime, and you lock it in. True metabolic longevity is built on the precise, unwavering predictability of when you wake.